Running improvements, they're great when they're happening and it's horrible when they stop.
Yes, for new and improving runners, there's nothing quite like seeing those improvements week on week, year on year.
But sadly, like time and tide that wait for no man, those days will eventually end. And in this video, we're going to take you through 5 things that you can do to help maintain your motivation when those PBs dry up. So when those PBs and running improvements start to dry up, it's easy to let your running fall off, to become demotivated and let things slide.
So in this video, we're going to bring you 5 things that may be holding your running back.
But don't worry, we're also going to give you solutions to each of those 5 problems, which means that you can carry on enjoying running as a lifelong hobby and passion. So the first thing you may be doing, which could be holding back your running, is comparing yourself too much with others. But I'll add a caveat there. You might also, if you have a different mindset, be comparing yourself too little with others. I'll explain what that means. Comparison is the thief of joy, they often say. And there is a tendency amongst many runners, particularly in this era of Strava, Garmin Connect and other running media apps, to compare not just your race times with others, but how fast you've done each run. Runners striving to get under 7-minute miling, under 8-minute miling, or some notional pace just on a recovery run. That feeds into poor training, negative thinking cycles if your run isn't fast enough. So on our running journeys, we are all an experiment of one. Your running is about what you do, your achievements, your goals, your targets. It's not about how fast somebody else is running on a Monday, or how long somebody else's Sunday run was, or how fast somebody else's 5k was. Each of us are on that unique running journey of ours, and don't let other people's runs and achievements deflect you from yours. However, there is one caveat I'd add there, and that is, if you can go to the other end of the spectrum and clearly focus on what other people are doing, how they're achieving it, and how you think you can get there, and that is a great motivator and a great way to improve your running. So let me explain a bit more. Fairly early into my running journey, I joined a running club. And in that club there were people, many of whom were similar ability at running to myself. There were also several runners of a higher standard. And I use those people around me as a huge motivator to improve. I always wanted to be beating the time of the person who was just in front of me, and then the next one and the next one. I found about how they trained, what sort of speed work they did, what sort of weekly mileage they did. I asked the fastest runner in the club if I could borrow his training diary from when he did a 2:27 at London Marathon. And although I never reached his standard, I do believe in those early stages of my running, by comparing myself with others and wanting to be as good as my peers, as my club mates, then I did actually use comparing myself with others to improve my own running. So it can cut both ways. Don't compare yourself with others if you get yourself into a negative spiral of I'm not as good as my friend, as my club mate, as my brother, as my sister. But do compare yourself with others if you've got the mindset to use it, to look at your own training, look at other people's training, and make improvements that improve your running.
So point number 2 is not accepting that you'll have bad days as well as good days with your running. So let me give you an example of this. I once did a 10k race where I didn't run to potential, and I was quite upset over it. So on the way home from that race, I got the person I was with to drop me off at 10k from home so that I can go and batter my legs a little bit more. Now this obviously is not good psychologically, and it's not good physically. So all it did was add a layer of fatigue on top of my already tired race legs.
Sometimes there'll be no obvious reason why you've had a bad run, and it might only come out a few days later that you might have had an underlying lurgy. What it is important to do is to not hyper-focus on one day or one run, but to look at your running across a week or a month or even a training block, and that way you won't get upset and put off your running by one bad run.
So yes, so it's part of running. So accepting you have good days and you'll have bad days, but not to take those bad days as a this is where I'm at in my running.
So in those situations, it's time to invoke a bit of Rudyard Kipling. If you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two imposters just the same. So the third thing that can hold many runners back, particularly those who've been running for several years, is thinking that your best times are behind you. Now in many cases you might be right that your best times are behind you. I certainly think neither of us will be running any PBs over 5k, 10k or marathon for the rest of our running careers. So what you need to do is to reframe your thinking.
So yes, one of the things that I've done recently is to concentrate on age grading. That means that I've always got something to achieve. I can look to get my best for that age group.
Yes, age grading is a way of taking a time you've run at a certain age and gender and then comparing it against the best time for that age and gender, and then calculating using various mathematical formulae to see what you would notionally have run as a senior. What you'll probably find if you're a new runner is that you can carry on improving for about 10 years. And during those 10 years, yes, you will probably hit many PBs, you might even win club championships, you might place in races, but there will be a time where that comes to an end. And as well as age grading and looking for age category performance, there are other things you can do to stay motivated.
Okay, so one thing that you may consider is changing your distances, maybe looking at track races, or if you're a runner that does 5k, 10k, half marathon, you may look to go up the distance and go to a marathon or an ultra marathon.
So really looking for new challenges, distance-wise, and possibly terrain-wise as well.
Absolutely.
So really there is no reason to let the fact you're not going to run a PB over a certain distance to spoil your enjoyment of running and lead you into negative cycles of I can't do what I used to do, so I won't bother and give up.
Yeah. Keep training, keep doing your best, keep putting an effort in, and you'll achieve.
And keep on keeping on, really. So a fourth thing that holds many runners back from achieving their potential is lack of consistency. And that may be down to not having enough time to train due to work, life or family pressures, or not having a consistent plan to follow.
So yes, as John said, sometimes life really can get in the way. I mean, for instance, one day this week I was out of the house for 12 hours, 10 of those spent in the workplace with a 20-minute break for my lunch. So how do I get a run in on those kind of days? It's really, really difficult. So I have to be really strict with myself and I have to have a strict plan. So for me, personally, I got up an extra 40 minutes early.
Yes, as the great Ron Hill once told us, where there's a will, there's a way. And there will be some point in the day you can fit in something that benefits your running. You might not be able to get out for a run, it might be doing some bodyweight exercises, just even 5 minutes of plank or some plyometrics, but it will be benefiting your running. So it's about having a can-do mentality, not bemoaning the fact that you can't do this and you can't do that. Another reason why people might lack consistency in their running might be lack of motivation. If you haven't got a specific reason for doing something, you're less likely to go out and do it.
Yes, so therefore, if you lack motivation because of whatever reason, get yourself a goal. Get yourself a race that you want to do in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months time and train for it. If you've got something that you want to train for, it's more likely to motivate you and it's more likely to get you out the door and get training.
And therefore, if you do have a goal to go for, you'll achieve better at your running. You won't leave your potential lying in bed or sitting on the sofa. So yeah, don't let lack of consistency caused by lack of motivation or lack of a goal hold you back. You don't want to look back later in life and think, I wonder what I could have done if. Always be striving to be the best version of yourself that you can.
And there's other ways to motivate yourself. You could meet up with a friend or friends, a work colleague, anything really. Arrange to meet them. That gives you accountability and you're more likely to go and get your training done. So, the fifth and final thing that may be holding your running back is lack of structure in your training.
So yes, you might not be suffering from lack of consistency, but you might be running consistently averagely or consistently poorly. And what do I mean by that? You may be doing the same runs week in, week out, possibly in a grey zone of the same pace. You might be running 4 days a week, consistently doing that, but you're not reaching your potential because by slowing down some of your runs to maybe in zone 2 or zone 1 of your heart rate and upping the intensity or pace of others, you might find yourself able to run 5 days a week or 6 or even more.
So of course, if that's how you want to train, doing 4 days a week on the same routes, at the same pace, that's entirely up to you and it's absolutely fine. However, Running the same routes and the same paces day after day, even 4 times a week, can actually leave you feeling stale.
And staleness leads to demotivation, and demotivation leads to a downward spiral in your running, which is what this video is trying to help you avoid. But what you won't get out of it is optimal use of your potential fitness. So the fifth and final thing that can potentially hold your running back is lack of variety in your training. And if you do want better variety in your training, have a look online for progressive coaching plans, or reach out to a qualified running coach who may be able to help you in setting a goal and setting some progressive training towards getting towards that goal. So there you go, 5 things that might be holding your running back and several solutions to help you unblock that jam in your running.
And if you have any other solutions that you feel may help our viewers, then please pop them in the comments below. So if you've liked this video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, we'd love you to do so. It doesn't cost anything.
That's right, and you will get, if you're subscribing to us, regular videos about parkruns, training, our own races, coaching, and anything running related.
So guys, until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.